Who's she talking about, Ethan?
Hey, yo, fuck Ethan.
I'm gonna tell Ethan exactly how the fuck you feel about his ass.
The feud between Ghostface Killah and Raekwon the Chef, or Dennis and Sha, was one of the main things that made me return to Wu-Tang and American Saga. When we first see Sha, he's on his way to kill Dennis. Right off the bat, we know that these two have a slew of obstacles to overcome before they become the friends and co-clan members that we know today. I want to talk about this relationship and why it's one of the most compelling enemies to friend dynamics that I've ever seen. Editing Jane here, quick disclaimer. When I make one of these analysis videos, I rewatch the series and take a lot of notes about interactions and events that happen. I won't be talking about the real life details about Wu-Tang Clan. I won't be taking any of that into account, even though the real story is actually really interesting as well. I think maybe even more interesting than the fictionalized version. I only focus on things that happen in the show. So I'm talking about two characters, not two real people. I just don't want it to seem like I'm judging Raekwon or Ghostface or anyone that's actually in their situation, similar to like the Snowfall videos where I talk about Franklin and Manboy and stuff. Yeah, this applies to all of my analysis videos. I'm talking about the art and not like the source material. Okay, let's go. Right from the beginning, we don't know who to root for. When we see Sha and Power shoot up Dennis's apartment where he sits bantering and eating with his brothers,
This is right before Tony Stark got paralyzed. He was in a wheelchair too, just like y'all, but he was still a superhero.
we immediately think that Sha is the enemy. But in several episodes, especially in season 1, episode 4, All That I Got Is You, we find out that this entire rivalry is Dennis's fault.
D, you and I both know the only reason why Power did that shit is because you came after his people first.
All because Divine and Power split amicably. The repercussions of Dennis's decisions affect more than these 4. It seems to be the reason for the Stapleton Park Hill beef in the first place and caused a rift between many of the Wu-Tang members. These two have an abundance of juxtapositions and a plethora of parallels that constantly put them in association with each other throughout the entire series thus far. There's this thing called the Save the Cat rule, established by Blake Snyder. It basically states that the character has to do something that makes us want them to win. If they would save a cat, then they can be redeemed. Dennis is established throughout the series as an incredibly impulsive and overly defensive character. When Bobby and Shotgun collaborate on a Killah Hill trap, he's quick to take the opportunity to diss Killah Hill in order to make Stapleton seem like the better area. Also, he robbed Power's parents for no reason. They make the negatives blatantly obvious, but they do the same with the positive. He's a compassionate, caring, polite person. We know this because of the way that he takes care of his family, how he treats Cherie, how he treats Ethan.
Hey, what's up, man? I'm Ethan.
What up? Yeah, so what you do, Ethan?
I'm an engineer.
Rappers a gun, you wouldn't bust back. You wouldn't bust back, Ethan.
Especially in contrast to the way everyone else treats Ethan.
Yo, what up?
Hey, watch the board.
Yo, fuck Ethan.
And how he takes a photo for this random couple. They do the same for Sha. He's extremely rough around the edges, rude, and arrogant. But you still like him because he's hilarious. I think he's the funniest character in the show.
You better get your ass up.
Nigga want some company. What the fuck is going on? Bitch wouldn't take my fucking request. Excuse me, woman wouldn't take my fucking request, guy.
You see him making so many small but intentional changes to change his life, and because of his creativity, which is why he writes on cups and cereal boxes and everyone else writes on paper. In the episode Impossible, which discusses a lot of interesting things and is worth talking about at a later date.
Leave that man alone! How dare y'all treat another black man that way?
Fuck out of here.
You ought to be ashamed of yourself.
Or when he flees to a fire escape when the police arrive and stands in silence as an officer kills an acquaintance of his, we sympathize with him all the same. We understand that paralyzing fear and we want him to win just as much, if not more than, before. The number of parallels that these two have is incredibly intentional as well. They both have a huge ego. They were both shot just an episode apart. Sha is the only other person that knew about Dennis and Cherie.
What Bobby and Devon think about you know, you getting with their little sister. Why you kept it a secret for so long? Last year, y'all was like creeping around Bobby's crib when nobody was there.
They both have a dilemma about abandoning music and going back to the streets around the same time. They're both impulsive, and Sha actually raps on Protect Your Neck right after Rebel's verse, which RZA originally wanted for Dennis. The second season begins their inevitable friendship in episode 4, Pioneer the Frontier. RZA brings Divine and Dennis face to face with Power and Sha. Power and Divine patch things up fairly quickly, but it takes Dennis and Sha the entire episode to truly come face to face. Throughout their entire interaction, Sha's the one that has the biggest epiphany.
Son, I wasn't even shooting at you. I was shooting at, I don't know, the idea.
Though it had the potential to really hurt someone, Sha was shooting because of his loyalty and his duty. It was never personal, so it wasn't as hard for him to drop that weight. It was always personal for Dennis because it put his brothers in danger and made him think that his mother was dead. In episode 5, Visions, after watching Dennis struggle to build a crib for his baby, after watching other members comment on Dennis's situation while offering no help, and after making it clear that he is not the one to come to for handyman work, Sha takes the time to reassemble the crib for Dennis.
Hey yo, you built this?
Not me, the chef.
He immediately becomes even more likable because he is the one to extend the olive branch. He's the first to truly cease fire. Things are a bit different for Dennis. In episode 6, Protect Your Neck, we see how much the beef with Sha really affects him. As he struggles to write his verse, he sees this black montage, which ends with a close-up on Sha's face. Sha is his final boss. In episode 7, Airwaves, they finally get their Thelma and Louise moment. They went from having incredibly intense interactions in the previous episode to Sha going with Dennis to the very place that he shot up in the first episode of the series. If you watch the episode without the context of the others, you would think that they've been friends this entire time. They call each other Dumbo and Mickey Mouse.
Why I gotta be Dumbo? Mickey Mouse.
They're besties now. In I Declare War, which is episode 9 of season 1, Dennis watches a film called Shaolin vs. Wu-Tang. At the end, the two rivals combine the Shaolin and Wu-Tang Kung Fu styles in order to destroy a common enemy. Without settling the Sha and Dennis beef, there wouldn't have been any chance of uniting Staten Island and bringing Wu-Tang to the masses. All of RZA's philosophical and positive leadership and teaching would have meant nothing if these two wouldn't have finally decided that enough was enough.